Hello and welcome to The United Stand, episode 2 of our next Manchester United manager question mark series, because it could still be Mourinho, but what are the options out there? It's definitely up in the air as a Manchester United fan at the moment, and I don't think a lot of us like that. It's up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen. And it's up in the air for Leonardo Jardim. A lot of people think he's been sacked by Monaco. He may well have been sacked by the time you watch this video, but he is still manager when I'm doing it, although it looks likely he's going to go. They're languishing in the bottom half of the French league, and it's looking like he will leave by mutual consent. So, look, I spoke about him last night. I got a little bit of stick about it because people took it as a negative. I don't think Jardim can manage Manchester United. I'm going to say that from the start. But what I'm about to say, I think a lot of you will think I wouldn't mind this guy being our manager. 44 years of age, and look, the reality is I don't think Manchester United would go for a manager like this. I don't think they would go for somebody who they perceive as a massive, massive risk. I think other clubs do. I think maybe it's the way forward. When you look at what Chelsea have done with Sarri, what Arsenal are doing with Emery, okay, people can say, well, Emery managed Sevilla and he managed PSG, and you can say, well, Sarri's managed Napoli, but actually Jardim's background is probably comparable or better. He took Monaco to a title a couple of years ago, and he took them to the semi-final of the Champions League, which is a big, big thing to do. And why are they languishing now? Well, to be fair, Monaco have always been a club that buy up youth talent and then sell it, and he basically has lost the whole team. Bernardo Silva, Lamar, Mbappe, Bakayoko, Fabinho, just to name a few of the players that he's lost. But more importantly, what do you want to know about Jardim? What are the pros and the cons? There was a very, very good interview with him a couple of years ago that I read, and he basically spoke about how he manages. And he was asked a question about, you know, how do you manage players? Is it important to be a withdrawn leader, or do you get involved? And he said, no, you actually suffer as a leader if you detach yourself and you're distant. I speak to my players every single day, one-on-one and collectively, and everybody's different, and you have to deal with different players in a different way. For me, that was a massive tick in the box, because I think we all know that Mourinho has a select set of players. We've heard this from people who've left the club, and he does distance himself, and he doesn't put his arm around players, and he expects players to run through brick walls. With Jardim, you get something totally different. Probably more of a sort of a Jurgen Klopp approach, really. And I don't want to big Liverpool up on this, but I think a modern manager needs to be able to adapt to different people. And funnily enough, Martial came from Monaco, didn't he? And I think he is a player who does need that sort of different attitude to maybe a Lukaku needs or a Fellaini needs. So that's very, very important. He's really big on youth. He was very, very big on youth at Monaco, and previously at Sporting, he was very, very big there. Brought Carvalho through, and when he went to Sporting, pretty much got them to second in the league, playing a load of youth. So he's big, big, big on youth, which would be a big tick in the box. But he's also big on attacking football as well. I mean, formation-wise, it's hard to get dragged down into what that is. But I go back to when he had Fabinho there. I would say it was more of a 4-4-2 what he was playing. Not your traditional 4-4-2. Your two centre-backs, Fabinho would drop there to take the ball off them. The full-backs would bomb on. The wide players sort of tucked in to allow the full-backs to bomb on. And obviously you'd have a forward in Falcao with Mbappe sort of playing off him. Lamar and Bernardo Silva as the wider players. Fabinho, Bakayoko as the midfielders. And it works really, really well. He looks to start slowly and then move the ball up very, very quickly in an attacking, offensive way. And when they haven't got the ball, it's a combination of pressing but also man-marking as well to squeeze the opposition and get the ball back quicker. Totally opposite to what we're used to at Manchester United, and totally opposite to what we've been doing for the last few years. So he ticks the box with attacking football. He ticks the box with youth football. And he ticks the box in the way he approaches his team and his leadership style. Of course, it's not all pros with Jardim. He obviously looks like he's going to get the sack from Monaco. It's gone wrong there. He's left a couple of clubs in weird situations. I think Olympiacos, they were clear at the top of the league when he was top there, and he left. Only 44, never played the game at all at the highest level himself, similar to Mourinho, similar to Wenger, so it's not terrible. Sacked, is that a big thing? I think a big thing for me is that Aston Villa are looking at him as a manager. And I think, is an Aston Villa candidate really a Manchester United candidate? I think that Jardim really is not going to be Manchester United's next manager. I think if he was, it would be a massive risk, but it would also be massively exciting because of what he brings. And I think that is what a lot of Manchester United fans crave. I think a lot of Manchester United fans would take Jardim because they'd be like, we haven't won the title for 6 years. Mourinho was meant to deliver the title at the cost of good football and our youth, and he hasn't delivered that title. All right, we might not win the title for another 2 or 3 years under Jardim, but we might build something that lasts a lot longer than that. And maybe that is something that I've been saying a lot as well, that we do need to be patient with the next manager. And this is a manager that could come in and is obviously very, very used to dealing with a budget. Now, that's not great from a Manchester United fan point of view because we want to spend the money that we earn. But from an owner's point of view, it is big. I still think that Zidane is the one to go for if and when Mourinho goes. But Jardim is a very interesting one. And like a couple of more we're going to be talking about over the next week or so, I certainly would consider him. I mean, the French league concerns me. I always call it a pub league. It isn't a great league. But he did do stuff in the Champions League with Monaco, and he's managed very, very big players. You know, Falcao, experienced big player. He's not all about youth. He does have experienced players around him. He's developed Mbappe. He's developed those players that have moved on. He's used to that. And I think at a club like Manchester United, it would be a lot bigger for him. A lot bigger for him to do that. So, very interesting sort of candidate in many ways, Jardim. Very, very adaptive, very attacking, very well organised. His set pieces, he puts a lot of work into that sort of thing as well. Young manager as well, 44. Might not look it, but he is 44. So you get him in and he does well and he could be here for 10 years, which is what a lot of Manchester United fans crave as well. So I think he's a very interesting candidate. He's the thinking person's candidate. He's the exciting candidate. He's the risk candidate. But what he comes with is very, very clear. Attack, youth, and a very, very good man manager. And I think that they're the things that United probably need going forward. We need a proper manager who man manages and is inclusive and unites his squad like Zidane does. We need a manager who's very tactically aware. Well, Zidane's not and Jardim is. And we need a manager that promotes youth, which Jardim does a lot more than Zidane. So in many ways, he's the best candidate. But my concern is that, one, our club wouldn't go for it. 2, Aston Villa are after him. And 3, it always ends a little bit badly with Jardim. So I don't know. It's over to you. Drop a like on the video. Get your comments in below. Give us your thoughts on Jardim. And obviously, if you're enjoying the series, drop a like and give us some comments below about any other managers. We've got 3 or 4 we're going to do after this one. So if you didn't see the Zidane one, maybe you want to compare. Speak to you all soon. Thanks for watching. Back at 8 o'clock tonight live.